2, 1. All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, hello. Hello and welcome. Hello and welcome. Thank you all so much for being here. My name is Otis Landerholm. Welcome to another episode of the Empowered Immigrant Live. Today we're going to be talking about options for undocumented parents of U.S. citizens. All right, and I'm often sitting here in my office and I get a consultation coming in for someone who is a U.S. citizen. They're about to turn 21, or maybe they just turned 21 and they want to help their parents. And so I want to talk that through. So welcome to our episode today. Thank you so much for being here. Remember, the Empowered Immigrant Live is here to train, teach, inspire, and empower immigrants to make the most out of immigration laws and to make the most out of their lives. Okay? So today our theme is options for undocumented parents of U.S. citizens. And my question, as always, is, hey, do you want to get a green card this year? Do you want to, come out of the shadows this year? Do you want to at least explore what your options, what your rights are, what possibilities you might have to fix your immigration situation this year? Because if so, go for it. All right, go for it. And I'd love to help you with it. My firm is on a mission to win 10,000 immigration cases by 2035, and we would love for your case to be one of them. All right? So thanks for everybody for being here. Again, my name is Otis Landerholm. I'm the founding attorney here at Landerholm Immigration, A.P.C, where we fight for your American dream. And yeah, thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Empowered Immigrant Live. Before I get into it, I just want to say I haven't been going live for the last 2 weeks, and it's a bit personal for me. All right, my father passed away. All right, my dad passed away this Sunday, cancer. All right, and so this episode, my first episode coming back into the office, I'm dedicating this episode to my dad. All right, Carl Irwin Landerholm was my father, and he was a great dad. Dad, thank you for always being there. All right, I love you. And so today we're going to talk about parents. All right, we're going to talk about parents. And before we get to that, I do want to share some important news, because there is news. Okay, I don't know if you saw it yesterday, the announcement from USCIS. But we got some news, and I want to share that real quick before going into our theme. You ready for it? So yesterday it came out, the Biden administration has announced the date when they will start accepting the new parole-in-place applications. All right, that date is August 19th. Okay, so today it's June 18th. We got a month. Okay. And so they're going to start accepting applications for parole in place on August 19th. Now, there are no final regulations yet. We don't even know the full process yet. We don't know the filing fees. We don't know the forms to fill out. We don't know what information they're requiring. However, if you are married to a United States citizen, and if you were married before the 17th of June of 2024, all right, one month ago. And if you had 10 years of physical presence in the United States as of June 17th of 2024, then you should start gathering your documents. You should start gathering your evidence of your marriage, evidence of your physical presence. Okay? I will be shooting more videos about this topic very soon. And if you want to see those videos, please take just a second. Go to our YouTube channel, and type in Landerholm Immigration. Subscribe to our channel in YouTube. All right, when you do that, if you just click the notifications bell, then you can be informed and receive a notification whenever we upload a new video with new information, new news. There's a lot going on in the world of immigration law right now. And it's only going to increase as the elections come closer. All right? And I want you to stay informed. So please subscribe to our channel on YouTube so that you can stay informed. Okay? So that's it for my news. Now I'm going to switch gears. And there's more news we could talk about. You know, what's the assassination attempt on Trump mean for immigration? All right, our team put out a great video, or is releasing very shortly a great video on that topic. Again, subscribe to our channel on YouTube. You can see our opinions about that. Okay. You know, I won't get into that right now. We can talk about that in a future video. So right now we're talking about parents. All right, like love your parents, people. All right, they're the only parents you got. You wouldn't exist without them. All right, they're not going to be around forever. Like give your respect and honor and love to your parents. I really recommend that. Okay, so let's get into the options for them. You know, as I mentioned, I'm often meeting with potential clients who are coming in, and sometimes they're coming in with both their father and mother, and they're like, "Hey, lawyer, you know, hey, Otis, what options do I have to help my parents?" And I love seeing that, and I so wish that there were more options available. But let me clarify it. Let me explain it right now, okay? So the best option, whenever it's possible, is to file an application for adjustment of status, okay? And so the best option is to be able to file an application for a green card, an application for adjustment of status. Jeremy Helm, I see you here on Instagram. Thank you so much for being here. All right. Thank you for what you have said there on Instagram. I really appreciate you, man. So, got to say that. All right. And everybody tuning in right now on TikTok, I see you. Thank you so much to my friends here on TikTok. You guys are awesome. Everybody tuning in on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, thank you for your messages. You guys are awesome. Like, thank you so much. All right. And if you're just tuning in right now, welcome to the Empowered Immigrant Live. My name's Otis Landerholm. I'm so happy to be here with each of you right here, right now. Live, ladies and gentlemen, live. All right. So, you know, we're talking about parents and how can we help? How can we fix the immigration situation of our parents, especially if our parents are undocumented in the U.S., all right, which we're talking millions of people in that situation. So the best option, whenever possible, is to file an application for adjustment of status, to be able to adjust the status of your parents. That's not easy to be eligible to do that, all right? You're only eligible for adjustment if your parents were inspected and admitted or paroled into the United States with 3 and now possibly 4 exceptions. All right? So the first question, if you're a U.S. citizen and you want to adjust your parents, it's like, were your parents inspected and admitted or paroled into the U.S.? Did they enter with inspection? Did they enter on a visa? Were they allowed to enter into the U.S.? Because if they crossed in unlawfully, like millions of people have, it's very difficult, it's almost impossible to apply for their adjustment of status with 3 and soon possibly 4 exceptions. All right, what are those exceptions? Let's talk about those. All right, you can apply even if you weren't inspected, admitted, or paroled in the U.S. if exception number 1 is if you're protected by what we call 245I of the Immigration Nationality Act, which that is a law that used to exist. The question is whether or not you have a family-based petition or an employment-based petition, any petition on file for you before the 30th of April of 2001. right? We're talking a now 23-year and more old petition filed on your behalf. And if you were physically present in the U.S. on December 20th of the year 2000, if you have those two things, then you don't need to have been inspected and admitted or paroled. You can file for adjustment of status under what we call 245I. Okay, that's exception number one. Exception number two is to find a new way to get paroled in, all right, to get paroled. And that, so normal parole, that would be, for example, if you have, as the parent, if you have TPS, if you have DACA, if you have an asylum application pending, if you have some way to request a travel document, an advanced parole document, we can request the travel document so that you can leave and re-enter lawfully. Now you've got the parole entry. Now you've entered well, lawfully, and now we can adjust your status. We've done this, all right? We've done this with several clients who have been eligible for TPS or other reasons to apply for advanced parole, all right? Exception number three. All right, if you were not lawfully inspected and admitted or paroled in the past, exception number three is if you have a child who's in the U.S. Armed Forces. If you have a child who participates in the United States Armed Forces or who has been honorably discharged from the U.S. Armed Forces, they can file what's called parole in place. All right, parole in place. And that benefit can allow you to be paroled, in parentheses, right? Entre comillas, yeah, like we would say in Spanish. In parentheses, you could be paroled into the country without leaving. It's this benefit that currently exists for the parents of U.S. military members. Got it? Those people, once they're paroled in place without having to travel, without having to go anywhere, they can then be deemed lawfully inspected and admitted or paroled, all right, so that they can then be eligible for adjustment of status in the U.S. Got it? Okay? And exception number four, which doesn't exist quite yet, but it's in the works, is the new Biden parole in place thing that has been proposed as early as a month ago, and that in theory they'll start accepting those applications after August 19th, in just 1 month from tomorrow, folks. All right? So we got to be mindful of that. Stay tuned for the news about that. Now, it's not enough to just have been inspected and admitted or paroled, all right, or eligible for one of those exceptions we just talked about. You also have to have a U.S. citizen child who is 21 years old or older, all right? So you got to wait till the child's 21. And number three, big requirement, you've got to be quote-unquote admissible, all right? So what's admissibility? We've got lots of trainings about that. Have you ever been arrested, ever lied to immigration before, ever committed a false claim to U.S. citizenship? Ever unlawfully voted, ever helped somebody enter the U.S. unlawfully. There's lots of questions regarding admissibility. But as long as you're clean, right? Or if you have questions about that, please talk to an immigration lawyer. We're here to help. We can evaluate that in more depth. All right? Big option number one is adjustment of status. Everything that I said right now is about adjustment of status. That is the best option, all right, if your parents are eligible for it. Okay? Now, millions of people are not eligible for it. Okay? Like millions and millions of people in the U.S. are not eligible for adjustment of status. Otherwise, they would have applied for it already. Okay? And so, if you're not eligible for adjustment of status, the plan B, all right, and we'll talk about options C and D next, but plan B is to file for what we call consular processing. Now, consular processing is not fun, okay? You got to leave the U.S. There's risks involved when you leave the U.S., all right? And if you've been in the U.S., if you're in the U.S. right now and you weren't lawfully inspected and admitted, then in all likelihood, you're going to need to file a waiver, all right? And so you got to be eligible for a waiver. And to be eligible for a waiver of the unlawful presence that you've had, you've got to have a qualifying relative for the waiver. And the law requires that that can only be a spouse or parent, not a child. All right? So to be eligible to waive unlawful presence, your parent will need to have a U.S. citizen or a green card holding spouse or parent. All right? That means, where are your grandparents? And do they have a green card, or are they U.S. citizens? Because if so, now you've got a possible green card. Now you've got a possible waiver case. All right? And we're going to need to show that that person would suffer extreme hardship if the case for your parents were denied. Okay? And that starts a consular case. Now, if that's not an option, we look to plan C and D and E and F and all the other options that might be available under U.S. immigration laws. And that can include a U visa if your parents have ever been the victim of a crime in the U.S. and if they cooperated with law enforcement. It could be asylum if your parents are afraid for their lives or return to their home country. It could be cancellation of removal if your parents have a U.S. citizen, spouse, child, or parent who's a U.S. citizen or a green card holder and who has a serious illness, right, or a serious issue where they would suffer an exceptional and an extremely unusual hardship if your parent were deported, right? That's a cancellation case, we call it, in immigration court. Very risky to do. That's basically it, folks. Those are basically the options, all right? Those are basically the options. There are a few other ones that I won't get into right here, right now, just in the interest of time, but those are the big ones, all right? And so if you are a child, a U.S. citizen child, and you're asking about and you're thinking about how could I help my parents, feel free to reach out. All right, feel free to reach out. We're just a phone call away. We're here to help. We'd love to help. Okay? If you have questions, please feel free to send them in. All right, and we can go over that. I see a couple questions right now. Jemima, thank you. Thank you for your condolences. I appreciate that. And you're asking, okay, I'm married. I married a USA citizen, but I divorced that citizen in 2012. Can I still qualify? Answer, no, you can't. All right, if the question is for the Biden parole process, the answer is no, you cannot. All right, you must be married to that citizen right now, and you had to have been married as of June 17th of 2024. Okay? Now, you might be eligible for something else, Jemima, so if we could do an analysis of that, request your records, etc., then we'd love to do that. Okay? All right. Normally I like to give an empowerment tip. I'll have this empowerment tip inspired by my own father. Okay? And I mentioned earlier that my dad passed away. One of the things that I loved about my dad, all right, is that he would encourage me to 3 words. He would encourage me to go for it. All right? I'd be like, hey, Dad, I want to study philosophy. Right? He would have no judgment. He'd be like, cool, go for it. Go for it, Otis. All right? I'd be like, hey, Dad, I'm going to go move to Japan for a year and then China for 2 years to learn Chinese and to explore Asia. And he'd be like, cool, Otis, go for it. Right? I'd be like, hey, I'm thinking about starting my own immigration law firm. And he'd be like, Otis, cool, go for it. My empowerment tip for you today from my father is go for it. Whatever you got going on in life, do it. Live it up. Live what you want to live. Do what you want to do. All right? Follow your passion, follow your soul, follow your spirit. Go for it. That's what I got for today. Thank you all so much for being here. TikTok, thank you. Instagram, thank you. LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube. I love you guys. Thank you all so much for being here. I really appreciate it. All right? If you have questions, if you have a case, if you have, any detail that you want to go over about your personal life, hey, please give us a call. We're here to help. We'd love to help. And, and if you got any value out of this, please go to our channel in YouTube. Please click the notifications bell. Please subscribe to our channel. You can receive additional videos, updates, information, news as it comes out. Thank you all again. My name's Otis Landerholm, Landerholm Immigration A.P.C., where we fight for your American dream. Wish you the best. Thanks a lot. Take care. Bye-bye.